live in a modern world that often feels, well, deeply fractured. And when things break down, our first instinct is usually to try and fix them with more laws, more rules, or maybe the latest technology. But what if an ancient philosophy sought to heal a broken world not through harsh legal codes, but through something as simple and honestly as profound as human connection? That is the absolute beating heart of Confucianism. It's a masterclass in how to truly live with virtue, respect, and enduring social harmony. To truly grasp this philosophy, we have to start by asking an incredibly practical, urgent question. How do you fix a broken society? Because for the founders of this tradition, this wasn't just some fun theoretical thought experiment to ponder over a cup of tea. It was quite literally a matter of life and death. Let's step back in time for just a second to understand why. Back in 1046 BCE, the early Western Zhou dynasty was revered as this idealized golden era of peace. But over the centuries, central power crumbled. By the time Confucius was born in 551 BCE, things were completely falling apart, plunging China into the brutal, bloody chaos known as the Warring States period. Confucius lived right in the middle of this trauma. His lifelong mission was born directly from the ashes of all that warfare. He desperately wanted to restore the harmonious order of the past. Now, there is a stark contrast between early Western and Eastern thought when dealing with this kind of chaos. While a Greek philosopher like Socrates would engage in these deeply theoretical, abstract debates to define the universal essence of morality, Confucius was out there tackling messy, practical dilemmas. For instance, if your father steals a sheep, should you turn your dad in for the sake of public justice, or do you cover for him? Talk about an awkward Thanksgiving dinner, right? Well, Confucius favored protecting the father. He prioritized real-world human ties and the practical preservation of the family unit over cold, abstract theories. Section 1. The Seeds of Virtue, Cultivating the Junzi. So before fixing an entire society, you first have to cultivate the ideal noble person, the Junzi. The absolute core of this ideal character is Ren, or benevolence. It's the highest Confucian virtue of compassion and shared humanity. And I love this part. The Chinese character for Ren brilliantly illustrates this concept. It literally combines the symbol for human alongside the symbol for the number 2. It's like a mathematical proof built right into the language itself. We can only truly find our humanity through our interactions with others. You literally cannot be a good human all by yourself in total isolation. But you might be wondering, is this goodness actually natural to us? The later philosopher Mencius proved our innate goodness using a pretty famous thought experiment. Imagine you're walking along and you suddenly see a child teetering on the edge of a well, about to fall in. Mencius argued that absolutely anyone, no matter who they are, would instantly feel a pang of alarm and compassion. You'd want to rush over and save the child, and not for a reward or to look like a hero to your neighbors, but out of pure instinctive human compassion. Now, actually, scratch the idea that we are born perfectly virtuous right out of the box. Mencius didn't believe that. He called these instinctive feelings our moral sprouts. That immediate compassion, that is just the sprout of benevolence. Our innate sense of shame is the sprout of righteousness. Our natural deference to others is propriety. And our sense of approval or disapproval is wisdom. Just like a garden, these sprouts are built into our nature, but they are going to wither and die if they aren't actively nurtured and cultivated into full-grown virtues. Section 2. The Dance of Propriety, Externalizing Virtue. Okay, having good internal seeds simply isn't enough. We have to transition from internal virtue to external action through li, or ritual propriety. Now, when we hear the word ritual, we often picture rigid, boring religious ceremonies, right? But in Confucianism, li is this beautifully choreographed human dance of daily etiquette, family customs, and mutual respect. Confucius warned that without the inner feeling of Ren, the outward ritual of li is completely empty. But paired together, they guide absolutely everything, from how we pour tea for a guest to how we mourn our ancestors. The ultimate goal of this dance is harmony, or he. But let's clear up a massive misconception right now. Harmony is not conformity. It isn't everyone agreeing and acting exactly the same. Ancient texts describe true harmony like a rich soup. A truly great soup uses diverse, sometimes sharply conflicting ingredients: meat, vinegar, sauce, and plum. It's the tension and the careful balancing of these completely different flavors that creates a dynamic, productive equilibrium. We want a society of different perspectives balancing each other out, not some boring echo chamber of sameness. Section 3. 5 Fundamental Relationships, the Web of Duty. So, the big question is, how do we practice this harmony in real life?
Well, Confucianism maps out human society using 5 core relationships: ruler and subject, parent and child, husband and wife, elder and younger sibling, and elder and younger friend. Everyone has a specific place in this natural order, and it's built entirely on reciprocal duties. One side is expected to protect, guide, and provide, while in return, the other is expected to respect and obey. It's a two-way street of mutual obligation designed to eliminate chaos and build deep, lasting trust.
The absolute bedrock of all these relationships, though, is filial piety, or shao. This is the foundational, lifelong duty to respect, obey, and care for our parents and elders. In the Confucian worldview, your family is the primary training ground for all other virtues. Think about it. If you can learn to respect and care for your parents at home, you're going to naturally learn how to respect your teachers, your community leaders, and the laws of the land. It's where the practice of being a good citizen truly begins.
It is also super important to understand how this was historically applied, particularly regarding gender roles, through the 3 obediences and 4 virtues articulated by the highly influential scholar Ban Zhao. Historically, this system utilized strict gender complementarity to maintain clan stability. Based on the ancient cosmological principles of yin and yang, women were positioned in supportive domestic roles to balance the active external roles of men. While this certainly entrenched a very rigid hierarchy, in its historical context, it was viewed as the necessary balancing of forces required to keep the family unit, and frankly, the universe, in perfect equilibrium.
Section 4. State as macro-family, the ripple effect.
Now, let's see how all of this builds and scales up, moving from the micro level of the family to the macro level of the entire state, through what we can call the Confucian ripple effect. First, you cultivate the self. Second, harmonize the family. Third, govern the state. And fourth, bring peace to the world. You literally cannot skip a step here. The logic is absolutely flawless. You can't possibly hope to govern a country or bring peace to the world if your own mind is chaotic and your family is constantly at each other's throats. True leadership always radiates from the inside out.
Because the state is essentially viewed as just a giant macro family, a true leader doesn't need to rule through brutal force, threats, or endless regulations. Confucius actually said, "Governing by the power of virtue can be compared to the pole star, which remains fixed in place while all the other stars orbit respectfully around it." A good leader is a moral pole star. By simply practicing exceptional, highly visible virtue, they inspire the people to naturally align themselves, just like stars in the night sky. But, and this is a big but, this immense power comes with a massive built-in catch: the mandate of heaven. This was the divine justification for a ruler's authority, but it was strictly conditional. A ruler only keeps their power as long as they possess moral uprightness and genuinely care for the welfare of the people. If an emperor becomes a corrupt, selfish tyrant, they literally forfeit the mandate of heaven, and the people have the cosmic right to replace them. It was a completely brilliant ancient check on absolute power.
Section 5. The relational self. Who are we together? Let's reflect on what all this ancient wisdom means for our modern identity today. We live in a highly individualistic world, right? But the crucial takeaway from Confucianism is that you are not an isolated island. The self is a dynamic center of relationships. You are constantly being shaped by the people you love, respect, and interact with daily. You're a daughter, a brother, a friend, a citizen. You are deeply relational, defined entirely by the beautiful, messy web of social roles and duties you fulfill every single day. So, I want to leave you with this thought to ponder. How does your own web of relationships shape who you are right now? And more importantly, what role are you actively playing in the harmony of your community? Are you nurturing your sprouts of compassion, or are you letting them wither? Are you a balancing flavor in the soup of your workplace and family, or are you just adding chaos to the pot? And I truly hope you carry a bit of this ancient harmony into your daily life.